So we've all heard about this solar eclipse in the news. Do you need to panic? I'm going to give you my opinion on it when we come back. All right, folks, welcome back. So we've all heard about this eclipse coming up. What we haven't heard about, because most of us have lived through eclipses before, is all this paranoia and all this warnings and, doom and gloom over it. And my opinion is pretty simple. I'm going to give it to you right at the beginning of the video. If you've been prepping along with the channel, if you've been prepping along on your own, you probably don't have much to worry about, honestly. We live in a very litigious society these days. If a government wasn't to warn about the most ridiculous, outlandish thing and something were to happen, you can bet there'd be 2 years of congressional investigations on why nobody said anything. And you can also bet that people would be suing local municipalities. It would be chaos, okay? So I think that's some of the reason behind the warnings. Basically, I'm going to show you, I'm going to link an article down below and talk to you about what this article says quickly. The New York State Police basically has deployed an emergency plan regarding this upcoming eclipse, as thousands of people are going to flock to the state to view this phenomenon. You got a whole bunch of people coming into smaller areas where it's darker, like where I live, to view this. And being that it's going to be a full eclipse in that area, that's where they're going to go. I've even heard people going as far as closing schools, shutting down businesses for all this, just like you'd prepare for a riot if you knew a riot was coming. It's been a bit much, but I kind of understand where they're going, because there is a potential, if you live in some of these areas where it's going to be a full eclipse and it's kind of darker, that people could overrun the area, okay? So they're saying the spectacle is expected to draw crowds from around the nation as people head to the area to witness it. Officials from the country have voiced concerns about a stretched public safety resource and an enormous strain on local hospitals and congested roadways. 4 states have urged residents to stock up on groceries, gas, fill medical prescriptions in the days leading up to the eclipse, as traffic is expected to overwhelm local roads. I guess the New York State troopers have developed this meticulous emergency operations plan. And what they said was their unwavering goal was to provide a comprehensive and uniform police presence for the safety of both visitors and residents. Kind of typical in New York State. One of the things that really shocked me when I moved to the West Coast was you don't see a cop everywhere. In New York, there's always a cop somewhere in New York State and in New York City. There was always a cop somewhere. So the path of totality will start in Mexico. It's going to extend across Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and New York and Pennsylvania. I believe it's Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine are also going to be right over there where it's going to be a total eclipse. So that is why these areas are getting ready for it. Basically, to mitigate impact, the troopers suggest people stay in their region overnight, stock extra food and water in their vehicle for travel, charge their cell phones, and bring chargers with them. The agency recommended that schools close for the day or a half day, among other suggestions. So, what do you really need? All right. Now, like I said, if you've been following along the channel and you've been preparing yourself, and that's one of the reasons I like showing products. I love testing stuff out. Second of all, this is my main thing in life. I enjoy preparedness, and I love testing out preparedness gear. And I bring it to you guys so you can, I don't bring it to you guys and saying you have to buy this. You've never heard me say, you need to buy that or you're going to die. Some channels do that. I don't do that. My goal is to show you options. And some of them are a little expensive. Some of them are cheaper. But basically, if you've been following along and doing your own preps and stocking food and water and things like that, you're probably going to be absolutely fine. As a matter of fact, it's a good practice run. So what I'm going to do with this today is I'm going to walk you through a few things that I think maybe if you're new and you're just watching me, maybe you've been watching me for a month, maybe you have a couple cans of food and you're like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. What do I do? I'm going to show you some basic items that you might want to get stocked up on. Now, the first thing I'm going to start off with is a power source of some kind. I have the little Blue Eddy, the Mini AC2A, and that's more than enough. That's like 300 watts. I believe it peaks out at 600 watts, with a max peak of 600 watts. That's more than enough for what you're going to be doing for a day. If this was going to be some kind of prolonged week-long event, I'd say get a bigger one. But if you have nothing, that's a good start. You can also build your own solar generator fairly inexpensively. I am actually working on building a portable repeater box with a case that I showed on the channel ages ago. Portable repeater box that has a solar generator inside of it. So you see, it's very simple to do. A source of light. I've got a couple of Olight products here the lantern and a flashlight, but a simple UCO candle like this guy here would do perfectly fine. Okay, just enough light to get by. There's tons of LED plug-in stuff with USB plugs that have bulbs on it that can light up your whole living room or your living area. Really, really simple. Next up, we're going to talk about communications really quick. I did a big video on communications yesterday with that radio. And a shortwave radio, any kind of shortwave radio, AM, FM. Shortwave really isn't necessary. A good AM, FM radio, if you're properly licensed, a GMRS or ham radio. Even if you're not properly licensed, you can still listen into what's going on locally. Might be interesting to listen in on some of the nets. Maybe it'll spark an interest in ham radio for you, or GMRS. Listen to them talking and maybe coordinating with the police or the emergency services in your area. Lastly, behind there, some freeze-dried food, Thrive Life stuff, freeze-dried wholesaler stuff. Remember, my link down there saves you 15% on that. A little plug there. Just anything. You can go to Walmart. You can buy a couple of freeze-dried meals, to be honest with you. A little, Mountain House packs. You can go and buy regular food, too. I think if you're brand new and you're watching this channel and you go to Walmart today or whatever grocery store you go to, I just think Walmart because it's the biggest grocery store we have here. If you stock up on a couple things of canned food, heck, you're ahead of 90% of the population already. Most people live paycheck to paycheck and have absolutely nothing when the paycheck runs out. So stock up on something like that. Get some kind of food. You'll notice in front here I have some cash. Always a good idea to have cash on you. Nothing bigger than a 20. I have some 20s, but make sure you get a good supply of 1s and 5s and 10s. This way you have some change to make change. This is pretty much like what I would consider walking around money. Now, you may not have anywhere near enough cash to have that. I understand that. Maybe taking $50 out of the bank, getting it in smaller bills, and putting it right back in the bank at the end of this event. I know maybe you're saving that money to pay rent or something next month. Well, you can always take it out and put it right back in if you didn't need it. Next up, some kind of first aid. That's just to give it in any kind of preparedness scenario. A simple first aid kit can save your life in many ways. Also, too, don't forget about stuff that you take regularly. Like they say, did you have a prescription that, I'm going to pick it up next week sometime? Get it now. Get it ahead of time if you can. If you'll get it, they'll release it to you. Pick it up now. If you have any kind of over-the-counter medications that you use regularly, start stocking those up. This is so you don't have to go out in the chaos. Because I always say survivalists survive by staying out of survival situations. So if you can get your stuff ahead of time and you don't need to run out in the middle of 1,000 tourists in the middle of your grocery store, hey, you've won, okay? Next up, water storage. Now, I don't really have a big water container on the counter here. This is more of a representation. But some kind of water storage or a water filter. I would suggest both. This is a Grail water purifier, the GeoPress. These are really, really good. Lastly, a way to cook your food. I know this was something I didn't think about till about 2 years into my preparedness journey, so to speak, because I had a gas stove where I lived before. So when the power went out, what do you know? I could still cook. Well, this was back in the 90s, and I was thinking, well, yeah, that's cool. I got my gas stove. I don't have to worry about it. Well, even with a gas stove, that might go out too, but most of us now have electric stoves. A lot of people have electric stoves now. So if you have an electric stove and you don't have a wood-burning stove in your home, you may want to think about a way to cook your food, to heat water, to make coffee, whatever. And if you're going to do that, of course, you're going to need various fuels. Make sure you get these fuels ahead of time. This is a refillable propane tank. It's actually a legal refillable one, but you can buy just a couple of these at the store, the 1 pound Coleman propane tanks, some isobutane or butane's fuel. So as you can see, there really isn't much to being prepared for a small event like this, and I predict this is going to be a small event. You'll probably see places get a little busy, get overrun. You might even see the media go, oh my God, there's 1 million people in the store, like they used to do on Black Fridays. I don't think this is going to be a huge disaster. I really think it's going to be more of a few isolated cases of local municipalities getting a little overwhelmed and a little stressed out. Again, your local police department may be a little slower in their response time. You may want to think about your safety plan and perhaps have some kind of defensive measures in place. But I don't think it's going to be anywhere near the disaster they're predicting. So if you made some basic preps, if you're just getting started out, this isn't a roadblock. This isn't something, a big hurdle that you have to jump over. You've got your basic preps already. Even with this stuff here, I'd be fine for a day. No problem, There's really not much more I need. I can sit and listen to radio. I can have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I can have some water, and I'm good to go. So just a little common sense. I know that they're really hyping this up, and like I said, we live in this litigious society where if they didn't hype it up and something happened, everybody in the world would sue. Congress would waste $1 million on investigations for 2 years, finding out why nobody said anything when they knew it was going to happen. So that's kind of behind the reasons I feel behind the warnings, along with the fact of if you're in a small little upstate rural town in New York with maybe 1,500 residents, you may get 30,000 residents overnight while they sit there and watch the sky. And then they'll be gone the next day. So, yeah, it's going to be a little congested, but with basic preps like this, you can stay inside. You don't have to deal with the chaos, and you don't have to mess around with anything. So anyway, that's the video for today. I did want to bring this video to you. I didn't want to do a product today. I wanted to more talk about this because I feel some people are taking it way, way too serious, and some people are just blowing it off like all the rest of the warnings we get from our government. So I kind of wanted to be somewhere in the middle there saying, hey, if you've been prepping for a while, even a couple weeks, you're probably fine. I would say the biggest thing altogether would be the cash. So you have money in case you need to buy something. Other places we're talking about in case ATMs go down and stuff. Well, I'm not worried about ATMs going down. I'm more worried about them running out of cash. I live in a smallish town out here in the middle of the Nevada desert. And on the weekends, after everybody's been gambling all weekend, if you go to an ATM on Sunday, there's a chance that it doesn't have any money in it. So just some stuff to think about, folks. Very basic preps will get you through this just fine. I really don't foresee any major disasters with this. And I thank you guys for watching. If you want to help support the channel, don't forget to check our links down below. We have our freeze-dried wholesaler link. Those little taquitos back there are from them. I like to steam those. They come out really, really good. The link's going to save you 15%. Just click the link, shop as you normally would, save 15% right there. He's got everything on there. As you can see, who has freeze-dried taquitos? Certainly not Mountain House. So everything from filet mignon, cheesecake, strawberries, you name it, he's got it. Below that is our Amazon affiliate store. Now, folks, if you're interested in supporting the channel without spending an extra dime, all you got to do is bookmark that link and use it to shop on Amazon when you shop. I have a lot of cool gear in there, a lot of the stuff that I've tested, but if that's not what you're into, if you already have some stuff, maybe you don't like what I showed, you can use that link and shop on Amazon. It helps out the channel, bring you more cool gear, and I invest it right back into the channel, so I thank you guys for those of you that do that. Below that are My Patriot Supply link, okay? That's preparewithiridium.com. I did show you that cool little 72-hour kit. If you want to buy one of those for 72 hours, that will do you well, too. Mine actually came very quickly. It's $28 for 72 hours worth of food. Yeah, it's carby, it's kind of heavy, but you know what? You want filler. You want filler like that when you're eating for an emergency. Below that, of course, our Thrive Life freeze-dried food store. Folks, don't forget Thrive. I know I don't do a ton of Thrive videos because it's a lot to keep up with the products and the other companies and everything, but I love Thrive, and I use it regularly in my everyday meal as well as for storage. Those are really the three companies I trust with my food emergency supply. Hope you guys can too. I thank you guys for watching. Everybody just take a big deep breath and relax. Stay safe and stay prepared.